Hello friends, so the car I chose was
You let me down, make sure that you lift me up now. Cause everything is up now.
in my last video I was talking about how I'm searching for a second car and I got an amazing deal on one of the cars which led me to an option which I wasn't thinking about initially. And let me quickly recap what happened. I took test drive of two cars. Initially I took a test drive of MG4 and then I took a test drive for atto 3. And then I was about to take a test drive for a MG PHEV, and the good part of that test drive would have been that the dealer that I was having a chat with was actually giving test drives of demo versions, and they were doing it for 24 hours. So you can literally take the car out of the dealership for 24 hours, test it out, see if it fits your lifestyle. That would have been a great option, and I was planning to do it on the weekend. The car I chose was, drumroll, the BYD atto 3. I visited a BYD dealership for my review of the BYD Seal. Seal just dropped in and I was having a chat with one of the reps from BYD, and they told me two things which sort of led me to the decision of what happened. So the two things that happened at the dealership was the person who was there told me that the BYD Seal was meant to be at the showroom for only a week in Brisbane, but the interest that it brought to the center led the decision makers to make a decision that the car's going to be there in the center because that's bringing in a lot of people and it's attracting a lot of customer base. And the second thing he told me was like a lot of owners of BYD atto 3 are actually buying a BYD Seal, which just put a thought in my head twofolds. Like, firstly, they do like the brand and the way it sort of presents itself, including the way the car would have been built as well as the functionality of it. Otherwise you wouldn't choose another car, right, from the same brand, and that too from a fairly new brand. And the second thing they told me was that the BYD Seal's available and it's attracting a lot of people. So I sort of had a look at the BYD Seal. I liked it quite a lot, but then the dilemma was we were looking for an SUV, right? So if I buy a BYD Seal, it wouldn't fit the need. But it was an amazing car from what it initially looked like. It had a couple of features which we don't have it in our Tesla Model 3, which sort of was a deviating factor. But then the thing that the BYD rep told me about BYD atto 3 people are actually getting their Seal put a thought in my head that why not I look for a demo or used BYD atto 3 which would suit our two needs, which is when we need an SUV, and other things was I want to save money, right? So, and I think that there was a third advantage of that process. If I buy a BYD atto 3 which is cheaper than the 52,000 of MRP, then I would be able to test the brand without actually having to spend all that money, because I did like BYD Seal, and if we were to buy it, we would be buying it brand new, which would cost similar amount. But then I started looking for a BYD atto 3 in the used market, along with having chat with the dealer for any demos that are available. There were a couple of demos available interstate which were below the 46,000 or 47,000 mark. But the car that we bought was even cheaper, and it was almost, I think, around 8,000 kilometers run, and the couple who had the car was using it for just on the weekends. When we looked at the car and we went for a test drive and we had a chat with the people over there, it was in literally a showroom condition, and it was brand new. And that test drive that we did with them sort of convinced us that we can disregard the interior, because the initial looks of the interior were a bit, it was not gimmicky, but it was a bit childish. It's acquired taste when it comes to atto 3's interior. When it comes to BYD Seal's interior, it's premium from my perspective. There's another story on that which I would cover in maybe next video or a short video, where people are putting different sort of takes on the interior quality of BYD, especially the Seal and Atto 3. But in my opinion, I sort of see it as a premium interior, if not the best out there. But for the price you're paying, it's really good. And to be honest, it cannot get more value for money when it comes to interior of BYD Seal. Now, BYD Atto 3 is another story. I didn't like the interior when I first saw it in the early release last year. I didn't like it when I took the test drive, but I think most of the reason was because the guy who was taking me on test drive was actually driving the car, and that just put me off from the brand, and the sort of interior was a bit more painful to adhere. But then again, when I went to the test drive of the used one, then I realized that more I drove it, the more I didn't seem to even look at the interior. And that sort of mindset of what are we looking for a car? It should be electric, and it should make us not go to the fuel station. It should be an SUV, right? So it's fitting all those bills. It wasn't as spacious as a MG PHEV or a Model Y, especially at the boot space, but that's a compromise we were willing to make because it's a higher riding car, and the initial test drive was not bad. And I believe that's one of the reasons that the BYD Atto 3 was sort of given an award for Drive Car of the Year for 2022. But I sort of don't go with the awards, but that just led me to believe that obviously there's something good about the car. Maybe that's why people are buying it. And there's been a lot of other reviews that I've seen of BYD Atto 3 which just states that the car is not bad, just the tires are bad, and which is the same feeling I got when I drove it. Like the tread on the tire is not I think grippy enough when it comes to tricky situations, but we don't want a sports car. We already have a Model 3 which is fast enough for when we need it, but BYD Atto 3 felt safe. The build quality was great, and as I was saying in the earlier video, when you close the doors, when you're using the buttons in the car, you get to know the build quality, and it's way above average. So it was one of the things which was part of our checklist, but it seemed all good. And when we drove the car, it was quite refined. The noise, road noise, along with the exterior noise was very less. There was a couple of annoying things about the car which actually I'll cover in maybe next videos about my first impressions of me driving the car for a week or two. Because when you initially get a car for a test drive from a showroom, you get like 10-20 minutes, maybe half an hour, and you don't get the entire feeling of what the car can offer. But when you get to live with the car for a couple of weeks, you get to see if the car is actually capable of doing things which you want in your car. And there's heaps of good features. There's a lot of negatives about the car as well, especially when you are already owning a Tesla Model 3. The expectations of an EV drive are different, and that's what the case was for us as well. But nonetheless, we liked the way it drove. We sort of negotiated our terms with the person who was selling the car, and we were able to actually get to an agreement. So the weekend that I was meant to drive the PHEV MG, on the same week, on Wednesday, we actually picked the car, and we just made the decision that this suits the need. This will help me to test the brand, how it is. And the car had still, it wasn't even, I think 6 months old, so it had all the warranty left on it, and 9,000 kilometers for EV is close to nothing, because even if you look at some demo cars, they are doing touching 6,000 kilometers. So, and the way it was kept, like it had all the stickers on the things, and it even had stickers on the keys, and it came with actually 2 physical keys and a NFC card. I'll cover that in the next video, where I'll share my experience of what I find good about the car, what is annoying, and there's actually 2 things which were fixed after we bought the car. which was the most annoying things that I found a way around of it. But as it turns out, it was a over-the-air update that fixed them. So I'll tell you about those two things in the next video. But yeah, that's my journey of trying to find an electric car and actually finding one. And I couldn't be more happier because we don't have to spend money on fuel. We got a great deal on this car. We would be able to retain the electric lifestyle. And the best part is this car does have the vehicle to load functionality. I was actually looking through the news feeds, and there was a lady in Gold Coast who was able to save quite a lot of medical effort for her kid who was actually in need of dialysis, and they actually used BYD atto 3's vehicle to load functionality to provide that medical functionality to the machines in an outage. And that's one of the things which we just disregard when it comes to the new electric cars that does have this technology. Like BYD is not the only car that does it. Like I think Hyundai cars do support a vehicle to load, along with Kia, and some PHEV also supports it. But it's good to have because Tesla doesn't support it, and I'm sure it's not going to be a scenario where we use the vehicle to load much. But it's good to have, and it's good to know that if you're going on a picnic, or especially when you have kids around, you can just take a kettle and make a, let's say, green tea, or take a hot pot and have a great picnic without having to worry about like where you're gonna use the charging ports, or if you're gonna find a plug. Take an air fryer, make some fries, go crazy with whatever you can do with a electric socket in the wild. And we don't usually go out camping in the spots where there's nothing there or there's no electricity, but it's good to know that if we do that, we still have a source of electricity which can keeps our phones and laptops charged, along with providing other things. So yeah, I'm quite happy with the purchase so far, and there's quite a bit of contradictory information out there in the world when you look around for BYD cars, and I wanted to test it firsthand, and to get an opportunity to test a BYD without having to spend the MRP was great. Let me know if you want to know anything particular about the BYD atto 3 or BYD Seal, and I'll try to cover that information in the next videos. Until then, enjoy, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.